Welcome to Mrs. True Crime. Today's video is an in-depth look into unsolved Jane Doe cases. It's a tale of loose threads and conspiracy. If you're triggered by anything dealing with death, feel free to click off this video. Perhaps check out a puppy video for some lighthearted content. If not, I'm Nicole. Let's get started. She is said to be between 4'5" to 5 feet, 80 to 90 pounds, with long black hair. She's a Native American, specifically a Zapotec Indian from southern Mexico. She had at least one full-term pregnancy, making her a mother, but she is also a daughter, perhaps a sister or a wife. Yet the only remnants of her story lies in bone fragments and ceased police investigations. She's labeled as the Mammoth Lake's Jane Doe, and this is her story. On May 25th, 2003, a hiker walking his dog in Inyo National Forest in Mammoth Lakes, California, stumbled across a human skull. The teeth were discolored and showed little sign of dental care. There was a tooth missing from the front right side, but besides the individual's dental hygiene, the skull housed little information. However, it did start a hunt for the rest of the body, and a few days later it was found. At the top of Mammoth Knolls, in and around a shallow grave, bone fragments made up what remained of the individual, more specifically, the torso. The remains were, quote, hollow, mutilated, the skin nearly unrecognizable now, gnarled, tough, and twisted, unquote. Along with their skeleton were torn clothing, and a silver Kmart Jacqueline Smith watch that was still ticking. Given the state of the remains, scientists estimate they were buried between August 2002 and November 2002. Sergeant Paul Dostey took lead on the investigation and became entranced with learning the truth. And so far, he knew very little. What he did know was that the individual was female, between 30 to 50 years old, petite, and, quote, wasn't dressed for the rugged Sierra Nevada, unquote. The torn clothing found with the skeleton consisted of a black 32 AA bra, size 1 cropped denim spandex pants with lace up front, black socks, size 5 blue leather base brand shoes with a 3-inch square heel, and Cold Air design coat. Aside from the watch, she also had a single 1-inch gold loop earring. It didn't appear that she was dressed for a hike, but that also doesn't tell us much information, and Paul knew it. Fortunately, what looked like a break soon came. A few days after the skeleton was found, an employee of the Mammoth Lakes Visitor Center recalled a short Asian woman and her husband arriving at the park in fall 2002. The witness described the woman as having prominent cheekbones and straight black hair flowing past her shoulders. While the husband busied himself with camping information, the woman, in accent in English, said she was afraid of her 5'9", heavy-set, white mustache companion and said he treated her badly. The employee gave her a Wild Iris Domestic Violence Services card, and the couple disappeared. The employee described the man as, quote, abrasive and mean-spirited, unquote. This promising lead influenced the investigation to ask around nearby campgrounds about the couple and post flyers with her description in Asian language spaces, but it turned up nothing. The following year, in May 2004, Paul came across DNA Print Genomics in Florida, a company that searches a person's DNA for clues about their racial makeup. Paul sent a sample of the doe's bone marrow to analyze her nucleotide polymorphisms, SNPs. Quote, SNPs frequencies have been shown to differ considerably between major geographic populations, and when analyzed can be used to make inferences about a person's biogeographic ancestry, unquote. Within 2 months, Paul had his answer. The woman wasn't Asian, but Native American. Contacting Henry Ehrlich, Director of Research at Roche Molecular Systems in Alameda, California, They studied her human leukocytes antigen genes. She was concluded to be Mexican or Central American. Geochemist Henry Schwartz found that the Jane Doe lived mostly on corn and corn-based products, and that for the last decade of her life, drank water found only in southern Mexico. The consensus was that she was born in either Southwest America or northern Mexico. She moved to Oaxaca, Mexico, sometime later, where she spent a decade, then moved to California 2 years prior to her death. Now that they knew where she was from, the question remained, how did she die? Philip Walker, then president of the American Association of Physical Anthropologists, performed an autopsy and found narrow 1-inch slits in the chest, establishing they were knife wounds. With information piling in, Walker suggested running her mitochondrial DNA. A match from a Zapotec Indian woman, Apollonia Mendoza, in the village of San Mateo Mequexochil in Oaxaca came back. They ventured to the small village, and this is where the search takes a turn. Mendoza claimed no relationship to the victim, and after communicating with the locals, investigators believed they had Jane Doe's name, Barbara Pacheco Santiago. She was identified by her stepmother, who hadn't seen her daughter in 7 years, but finding out if this was indeed Santiago would take time. Her biological parents were deceased, and her 2 sons and sister hadn't been located. A trip to Oaxaca was planned in 2006, but as far as the public knows, nothing has come from it. Anthropologist Philip Walker died in February 2009. Sergeant Paul Dosty retired from the force in March 2009, and his work, it appears, retired with him. If anyone has any information about the Mammoth Lakes Jane Doe, or if she looks familiar, you are urged to call Mammoth Lakes Police Department at 760-934-2001. Her story is limited and seems to end where it began. Found in the rural southeast of Orange County, California, in Casper's Wilderness Park on January 6, 2014, prospective gold diggers uncovered a badly decomposed skeleton. In her burial place were her clothing, torn and badly heat damaged. Her location was 9 miles east of Ortega Highway, an area described as isolated from hikers or campers. Homicide investigators are stumped on how she died, but they determined she was a petite woman, around 30 to 60 years old, with shorter length wavy dark brown hair and light colored highlights. Her estimated time of death was 6 months or more prior to her discovery. According to the Doe Network, her race, height, and eye color is unknown, but forensics found that the victim broke her nose prior to her death. Her dental records revealed a distinct gold-colored dental bridge on her left lower jaw that is believed to be done outside of the United States. Other describing factors included her clothing that consisted of a size small, dark-colored Auburn sportswear windbreaker with Coach Williams on the front right side. On the front left side is a logo of a volleyball or water polo ball. A pair of dark-colored athletic yoga pants made of spandex and cotton with light-colored stripes down the side of the legs and a rear zipper. The pants measured approximately 29 to 30 inches, and a pinkish speckled short-sleeved or tank top t-shirt with a black line design. She also wore a bright green hair scrunchie. No shoes, undergarments, or jewelry were cataloged. Quote, "The fact may be she was involved somewhere. Somebody you think is missing her. Maybe she belonged to some type of organization or a school or something," Lieutenant Jeff Hollock told ABC7. "Homicide, suicide, and accident. We don't have enough information to determine that. We think our goal at this point is to determine in fact who she is. Once we determine who she is, then we can work backwards in an attempt to identify how she may have died." Unquote. Since the information is so limited regarding this Jane Doe, I took it upon myself to search forums and other articles trying to locate any possible leads, and this is what I found. A Web Sleuths forum user, Miss Kim, hypothesized that the jacket was a sample and that the name Coach Williams has little to do with the victim, though she also says that it may have been from a small team that didn't want to pay for a custom logo. User Lucky7 states that the jacket's logo wasn't printed until 2001 or 2002, making the jacket at least somewhat recent. Though I can't find anything about the brand itself, when Googled it's described as vintage and sold on eBay and Etsy. There is an Auburn sportswear company in Hartwell, Georgia though, and is a men's and boys' clothing store. However, that plant appears to be shut down. Is it possible that the jacket the victim wore belonged to her husband or boyfriend? As for her dental work, user MHGal found that Jane Doe only had one wisdom tooth remaining in her mouth located on her lower jaw. She also didn't have her second molar on her lower jaw. The unique gold bridge extended from her first molar to her wisdom tooth. She also had a false tooth that was missing. Users also brought forth the idea of who the Jane Doe may be. First up was Randa David Jahari of Fenton, Michigan. She has been missing since 11:30 p.m. on February 10, 2009, and will be 52 years old today. Randa spoke to a family member the night of her disappearance and stated she was going to bed, but the following day at 8:30 a.m., after not answering her phone, a relative went to check on her. Besides the front door being open, nothing seemed amiss. Randa's clothes were laid out, though her bed appeared unslept in. The coffee pot was cold, and no important papers or cash were missing from her home. Surveillance cameras didn't show her in the parking lot during the night of the 10th or morning of the 11th. She kept in constant contact with her family, calling them several times a day. Randa didn't have a cell phone, car, or driver's license and depended on others for transportation. A lead in her case resides in a 30 to 35-year-old, clean-cut gentleman who accompanied Randa to dental appointments 5 times in October and November 2008. Randa is 5'1", 100 pounds, and suffers from bipolar disorder. She may have been wearing a long light blue bathrobe and a brown jacket with white wool sleeves and white wool collar. Randa is Caucasian, with brown hair and brown eyes, and of Lebanese descent. She has pierced ears, a C-section scar on her abdomen, and has some of her molars missing, and wears a partial dental bridge. She chain smokes and walks very slowly. Whether she is Jane Doe or not, anyone with information regarding Randa should contact Fenton Police Department at 810-629-5311. The second prospective woman is Genevieve Catherine Alexander. She has been missing since 3:30 p.m. on April 4, 2013 from Fort Bragg, California, and will be 35 years old today. Walking away from her residence she shared with her boyfriend at the Pomo RV Park and Campground, she ventured to the Mendocino Coast Botanical Gardens and trailed to the beach, and this is where her track turns cold. Her boyfriend reported her missing at 10:30 p.m. that night. She was last seen wearing a maroon fleece jacket, dark-colored pants, and dark-colored sneakers. She's described as 5'6", 115 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. Police found her pants floating in the water during their investigation, though nothing else of hers has ever been recovered. The distance between Genevieve's last known whereabouts and the discovery location of the Jane Doe is approximately 606 miles. In any case, whether she is Jane Doe or not, anyone with information regarding Genevieve should contact Mendocino County Sheriff's Department at 707-463-4086. The third woman is Molly Ann Franquemount. She has been missing since March 9, 2013 from Sunnyvale, California. She will be 43 years old today. Though Molly was last physically seen on March 9th, her last phone call was recorded as March 12th. Investigators believe she was murdered by her boyfriend Glenn Griggs. 11 days after her disappearance, police questioned Glenn, who insisted that Molly went to Redwood City, some 17 miles away, for work. He stated that Molly would return once a week to visit him. Yet 2 months later, a relative filed a missing persons report, and authorities learned that not only did Glenn lie about Molly's whereabouts, but Molly was fearful of him. Tightening his role as suspect, dating back to 2003, Glenn was also a suspect in the death of 3 other girlfriends, all who died mysteriously involving alcohol. In June 2014, 11 years after Molly's disappearance, police secured a search warrant, but Glenn would not let them enter, instead threatening them with a BB gun. He was later shot and killed by police. Molly has never been found. The distance between where Jane Doe was found and Molly's last known whereabouts is approximately 412 miles. Molly is described as 5'3", 110 pounds, Caucasian with brown hair and brown eyes, with a tattoo of an Asian bird on her hip. Still, whether she is Jane Doe or not, anyone with information regarding Molly should contact Sunnyvale Department of Public Safety at 408-730-7101. And if anyone has any information, or if the Orange County Jane Doe looks familiar, you are encouraged to call the Orange County Sheriff's Department at 714-647-7055. It was 7:15 a.m. on December 29, 1989, in Houston, Texas. The eastern United States was trying to recover from the historic cold wave that lasted for close to a month. The wave brought sub-freezing temperatures, destroying crops, breaking water pipes, and resulting in heavy snow and sleet from Florida to southern Texas. It's unclear if snow was still falling on this particular morning when a charter bank employee walked towards the building and discovered a body at the entrance. The body was slumped over the stairs, their face buried in the ground cover. The circumstances of the body's position hiding the cause of death, a close-range gunshot to the head. The police were immediately called. Quote, she was identified as a Hispanic, or possibly being a Hispanic. The detective at the time also sent off her prints to federal immigration authorities and ran the prints through their system. At the time, nothing came back. Was she relatively new to the county, where there was no profile on her at all? That's possible, unquote, said 25-year police vet Officer Ramon Cervantes. The young woman was about 5'4", between 19 to 25 years old, 155 to 165 pounds, with long, thick, curly black hair. She wore size 10 medium Lee brand black corduroy pants with a white pullover t-shirt, black socks, and Coaster brand black shoes. There was a small half-moon shaped scar on her right knee and a 1-inch scar on her right forearm. Detectives believe she was killed 8 to 10 hours prior to discovery, but that she was killed elsewhere. They canvassed the area, ran investigative traps, and interviewed the overnight security guard, but came up empty. Though no ID was found on the body, a handwritten time schedule was. No details have been released on whether a handwriting sample has been analyzed or what the time schedule consisted of. Police have also declined to release crime scene photos or discuss the close-range gunshot, stating they were trying to preserve evidence. Her DNA and fingerprints were taken, but no matches have been located. Since the 1960s, there are 4 states that require fingerprints for licenses: California, Colorado, Georgia, and Texas. In addition to licenses, fingerprints are also taken and required for certain jobs that involve children, firearms, and the elderly. As no hits have been matched thus far on her fingerprints, it can be speculated that Jane Doe didn't have a license or worked in child care or elderly care. Her case was opened in 2017, but hers was not the only nor last. The Harris County Jane Doe is buried in the Harris County Cemetery, her grave marked in the L section along with thousands more unknown Jane and John Does. Quote, the challenge when we have an old case such as this one that occurred in 1989 is going back, Ramon said. If there is some new information that is brought forth in any form or fashion, be it Crime Stoppers, a family member, or even the possible suspect themselves, the challenge is going back to find the individual. And unfortunately, sometimes the individuals, witnesses, family members have died or have moved away, unquote. If this Jane Doe looks or sounds familiar, please contact the Houston Police Department at 1-713-308-3616. Websites such as the Doe Network and NamUs are amazing for finding and placing information about Jane and John Does, but the fact is not every case gets placed into their database. According to NamUs.gov, approximately 4,400 unidentified bodies are recovered every year, with 1,000 remaining unclaimed for over a year. According to the National Institute of Justice, there are 40,000 sets of unidentified human remains in evidence rooms across the country, and only 15% are in the FBI National Crime Information Center, NCIC. NamUs has resolved 3,492 cases, but 12,258 remain open. The Doe Network has successfully closed 791 cases since 2000 as of October 2018, but thousands still remain open. These women had a story, a name, a home, and it was ripped away from them. Who were they? Who are they? Someone has to know. Until then, I'm Mrs. True Crime, and remember to be kind, be loud, be aware. For more information about any of the cases listed, why not check out some of these awesome links? And if you like what you saw and heard today, why not drop a like and a comment? Maybe subscribe while you're here? I make new videos every Wednesday, and you don't want to miss what's in store.